Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Microbrewery Marketing Podcast, where we talk about trends happening in today's ever-evolving brewing industry. Today we have our guest, Audra Gaizuinas. Audra, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Audra, would you mind sharing a little bit about your background and then how you came into the brewing industry?
Absolutely. So, I've always worked in small business and nonprofits. And after I finished my MBA back in 2008, I was headhunted by Caterpillar and I was working for the Global Machinery Company. It was my one and only large corporate job that I'd ever had. And I really quickly realized that I am a misfit toy who needed to find her island of misfit toys again. I did not fit into corporate America whatsoever. And so I started to look at where am I going to go next? Coming back to small business, craft beverage, coffee. I was looking at independent music labels, something where an area where I could dye my hair different colors, I could have tattoos, I could be unabashedly myself without having my performance being judged by my appearance. And lo and behold, the controller position at Dogfish Head opened up, and that had been just newly created. And I said, craft beer, I love craft beer. I've always loved it. I've never homebrewed. Once I started working at Dogfish, though, I did. And I, along with 267 other people, applied for that position, and I got it. And so I started out as the controller at Dogfish Head and fell in love with the industry right away. I started homebrewing within 5 months of having worked for Sam Calagione, and I found my island of misfit toys that I had been seeking. So I'm an accountant by background. I'm an MBA International Business. I just never hung out with other accountants. I don't fit in with them. I hang out with marketing folks, the sales folks. I'm very, very extroverted, which is very unlike an accountant. But I like offering structure and left brain standard operating procedures to tie in with the artistic background and the creativity and the chaos of flow. And craft beer was exactly where I needed to be. And that was 2008. And now we're in 2024, and I have never left this industry. Fell in love with it, head over heels. It is my home. Homebrew, have a Keyser, have a kegerator at home, have a half barrel single tier rim system to brew on. Dog named Simcoe, cat's named Porter and Stout. It is beer all the way through. I am devoted to it. It is got me line and sinker.
Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about your background. So regarding your experience with Dogfish Head, would you be able to share a little bit behind their story and their unique character or focus?
So with Dogfish Head, it was really, there was a big push that Sam had on creativity within and teamwork within the space itself. So I can give you an example right from when they recruited me. When I came up and interviewed, it was my birthday weekend in August. It was the final interview that we were going through that process. They knew I was coming up on my birthday. My birthday was that Monday. I flew into Philadelphia on Friday, and so they put me up for the weekend to get to know Rehoboth and Milton and that whole area of Sussex County, Delaware, just to get familiarized. And when I opened my hotel room door, it was decorated from top to bottom with streamers and Dogfish merch and paraphernalia. I had a 4-pack of Midas Touch sitting on my bed. There were soaps, hats, and Brewing Up a Business, a copy of Sam's first book. He had inscribed it and said, "Thanks for deciding to spend your birthday weekend with us. Enjoy coastal Delaware. We'll see you at your interview on Monday." So for that, like, that still makes an impression on me to this day about character and what Dogfish always has represented to me, and having such a standout type of event that happened before I had even started working there. Once I started working there, they had little contests like trying to like create a jingle for this particular character that we have on this beer label. Of course, the intergalactic bocce tournaments, that is happening, and there was just a lot of Beer 30 events that we would have that would bring production and admin together. It felt like home, and it was very carefully curated in such a way that to this day it's hard for me to find another brewery of their size. Now they're of course much larger, but a regional size brewery that does things on as regular of a basis like they did back then. So a lot of what they put their money where their mouth is, and they are the people that they stand for. And I still to this day owe so much to Sam and Mariah, and I appreciate them for opening the door to me, because here I'm coming in with no beer experience, a lot of manufacturing experience as an accountant, but they recognized that I was the off-centered one. And the one that didn't quite fit in, I was the quirky one, was what the quote was from the HR director. You were the quirky accountant. You're feeling just fine. Yep, and that was it. Like, that's where everything started. I took tours that Sam would give. The first day, actually the first week, I never even touched the numbers whatsoever. I'm an accountant, and I didn't look at the numbers until the second week. The first week, all I did, shadow the production, shadow warehouse, shadow packaging, shadow quality. I walked around with everybody's department, and I got to know how beer was actually being made, and really got integrated within the process. And I didn't open those books until even the second week, later on in the second week. So for me, that was such a great onboarding experience that really resonates with their character of who they are.
Yeah, that's really cool that well, again, with your accounting background, you're not just stuck in your own bubble. They let you, walk around different departments and just, become involved with the whole process. So that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I know there's lots of different trends and innovations happening on a day-to-day basis, weekly basis. How do you stay up to date with all the trends and innovations that keep occurring?
I attend a lot of events. I teach financial literacy through a lot of the state brewer guild conferences. So that's
Mhm.
an opportunity for me to hear about a lot of the new trends and innovations. Most state guilds have at least one educational event a year. Most of them have them about quarterly. But I people sessions to understand like what's the newest development in cryo hops, what are the newest developments in sustainability. So it allows me to integrate what I'm teaching and where I can see some opportunity of financial savings. So if this innovation is coming down the pipe and is currently in process, I can sit there and really calculate what the financial benefit of that particular innovation could be. So I like being able to sit in on those types of sessions. Of course, I look at Brewbound. I look at a lot of the online resources that we have,
Mhm.
Pro Brewer, Brewers Association forums. I attend CBC absolutely every year, ever since 2011. I've never missed a CBC, but I really get involved on the state level more than anything, and that's where a lot of those innovations and talks about sustainability really come about. So attending events regularly is my best bet for keeping up to date on things.
Good to know. And moving on, I know that sustainability is a huge topic in the brewing industry. Uh, can you share a little bit about your thoughts on good sustainability for any brewery?
Well, I mean, sustainability is always talked like and thought about initially about environmental practices, um, and products that are types of products that are being used, energy efficiency, and those are extremely important. When I worked at Mother Earth Brewing, I was their chief financial officer for 3 years. We use recycled blue jeans as insulation in our walls. We use CO2 rather than Freon in our cold storage areas. We had rain barrels and cisterns that we used to collect water to use in toilets and for non-potable situations. We were LEED certified gold as a facility, and we're the first one of its kind back in the day. And people would bike to work, people would commute together, carpool, and there was big sustainability talk, and that had come from that came from the very top. The leadership really espoused that for everyone. But what is largely lacking and that we don't think about sustainability is financial sustainability. We think about all of these packaging practices, things that are concrete that we see in our everyday lives. The financial sustainability is largely ignored or missed until it's too late. And that includes being cash flow positive, really truly understanding what your cost of goods are, what your margins are by product type, by package type, so that if you are going to integrate any sort of innovations, let's say in packaging, anything that you are going to use as an improvement, how does that affect my cost of goods and therefore my margin, and what does it ultimately add to my cash flow? So we think about sustainability from a much of a feel-good perspective, but financial sustainability is the area that I really try to bring more attention to and a greater focus on, because anything that we are going to integrate within our practices should reflect in our financials in some format with a positive outcome on cash flow. If it doesn't offer us a positive outcome on cash flow over the long term, by not being financially sustainable, you cannot be sustainable anywhere else because you don't have the money to do it. So I think of it more from a holistic perspective, not just piecemeal from one practice or one improvement. It's the overall operation of sustainability from the balance sheet, from the profit and loss statement that we have to look at as a whole.
Awesome. Yeah, I had talked to, I know you probably know Megan Connolly with New York Brewers Association.
She's amazing.
And I had asked her the same question, and she brought up the point, you know, people just want to see what you're doing. You can talk about all this stuff, but people just want to see what you're doing. And as
Yeah,
long as they're making progress, I mean, that's what counts.
it is progress and not perfection. Absolutely. I mean, brewers know that.
Yeah. Um, I had also had a conversation with someone with, I don't know if you're familiar with Matry Brewing in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
Her name is Rhiannon, and I believe she works in somewhere in marketing. But she shared, uh, I think this was back around 4th of July or pre 4th of July. They made an IPA, and I can't recall the name of it, but it it brought back a lot of um, nostalgia from uh, the popsicle called the Bomb Pops. And so, but they would engage with the community as far as getting ideas on like what they prefer, like when they're making new beers. So I guess with you and your team, how do you engage with your local community and beer enthusiasts in your area?
Well, personally, I'm always involved. I'm on the board of the Brewers Association. I co-chair the finance committee, and
Hmm.
elevating financial literacy is a big personal mission of mine. So I'm involved on on a person-to-person, brewery-to-brewery basis by serving
Hmm.
as a functional CFO for them. But being involved in all of the state guild events, I cannot understate its importance. Go to the Massachusetts Brewers Conference, go to the Connecticut one, go to the Texas one. That's the best way to engage in really like best practice share amongst everyone. And that's truly where a lot of collaboration happens. You have a couple of pints and all of a sudden you're a lot more enthusiastic about a particular project and mostly you get back together. So yeah, magic happens at that state guild level. But from my perspective, it's really focused on that elevating of a financial literacy piece. So I want to get everybody on the same page and have at least a same base knowledge level of reading their financials, but also making it fun in the process. So state guild events, regional guild events, anything that's happening through like city or regional brewers alliances. I try to get involved in that too, just as an attendee, sometimes as a speaker. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I do a lot of teaching, but I try to make it as fun as possible. I mean, I even incorporate Star Wars elements into a lot of my talks.
That's awesome. And one last final food for thought. Um, what do you see as like the future of the craft brewing industry? And then you personally, how do you plan to evolve as the industry evolves?
I've already been evolving as the industry is evolving. I'm doing a lot more evaluation engagements. I'm looking at a lot of collaboration, a lot of joint venture, contract brewing contracts, things that like I used to just be working on startup plans and expansion
Mhm.
plans. And now it's more of a thoughtful process on forecasting and valuation. What is our brand worth? What are those next steps that we want to take that are mindful? So the evolution just has naturally happened along with the industry. So it's what people are asking from me as a fractional CFO for the industry I'm working on providing. There will be more consolidation. I still think that there's a lot of room for innovation, but there will be a lot of consolidation, a lot more partnerships, and a much greater focus being placed on the financials themselves than has been in the past. So that to me, like I think the future of the craft beer industry will be a lot more business focused. That doesn't mean it's going to take a lot of the art piece away, but the decisions that we make and the beers that we create and the community that we bring together will have to have some sort of financial purpose and backing behind it. We can't just do things because they're fun anymore. They need to be able to bring in revenue so that we can keep our doors open, so that we can keep paying our people what they deserve. So a lot greater focus on business is what I'm seeing our future to look like.
Well, thank you for sharing all your thoughts today. Really appreciate it. I'm sure our viewers appreciate it as well. Thank you for having us, or thank you for being on our show today. We really appreciate it. And join us next time for microbrewery marketing. See you next time.